Hello folks, Clock here, back with another video tutorial on modding Dawn of War 2. In this tutorial I'll be demonstrating how to set up your Dawn of War 2 modding environment. Specifically I'll be going over setting up 3ds Max for editing models and animations, Havok content tools, which is required for animations, the model editor, which allows us to basically view models, Dawn of War 2 models, among other things, such as manage animations, and finally the Dawn of War 2 Cope's Dawn of War 2 Toolbox. So without further ado, let's get started. Should have minimized this. So I'm going to start off by attempting to install 3ds Max. The version I've chosen is 2010 because it's worked fine for me. So yeah, I'm using this version to be specific. So it's you can find it under archive.org. It's called 3ds Max 2010 full cracked. So I'll include the video link under this video, the YouTube video. You can see you have a choice of a torrent file, and I believe there's a direct ISO image file you can download. Yeah, so you can download the image file if you don't want to use torrents. Alright, so and the Santos tools, well, I'll get to that, but let's start off by installing 3ds Max. So once you download it, you should see either an ISO image, which if you open you get sort of something like this, or rather, sorry, so when you download the ISO image you'll probably get something like this, so I believe there's a setup here, yeah. So you can either choose to mount this. I don't have, let's see if I have, yes, so I just need to set number of drives. I can either mount this directly and mount. And yeah, if you don't know what mounting is, here's another easy way. You can just download the ISO, Power ISO, search for it. It's called Power ISO. It's free to use. You can double click this image and just wait for it to count down, and then you can go ahead and continue unregistered. So continue unregistered, you can find this setup here and just execute it, and they'll tell you to either run the file directly or extract files temporary folder. You could go with either one, but before I go there, maybe there's an easier way to go about this. Let me try executing this setup and see if it works. Not sure if this is the right way to go. It seems to work fine. Let's go with this. Alright, so what I did was I went with this. If it ever fails or something, you can just you can do what I showed you before, which is open this. Let me just do it again for the sake of clarity. So wait for it to count down, continue unregistered, and just launch the setup. It should give me the same thing as this. Let me close this so I can demonstrate it. So I can extract files to a temporary folder. So it's just going to extract them quickly to a temporary under app data local, and then it's going to launch the installation UI. This will probably install faster once I extract all the files. Alright, so there it is, the same prompt, initializing, and I get the where are you? Oh, there it is. So I can go ahead and install products. Let me just go back. Create deployments. These don't really concern us. We'll just go ahead and install products. And just to make sure this is recording. Yes, it is. Alright, so a note here. Let me just try to see if I wrote anything about this note. I actually kept a couple of notes here so I don't forget to mention them. Okay, so I don't have a note on this, but basically what you want to do is you have the choice of either installing the 32-bit version of 3ds Max or 64-bit version, depending on the operating system that you have. I installed the 32-bit version because I had problems with cracking the 64-bit version. So, put simply, if you have a 32-bit system, operating system, only a 32-bit 3ds Max will work for you, and that's great. So the crack for the 32-bit version works, and I'll demonstrate it later. If you have a 64-bit version, you can go ahead and install the 64-bit version. but I've experienced problems with trying to crack this 64-bit version. So what I did is I installed the 32-bit version, and the 32-bit version works well with a 64-bit system. So my recommendation is whatever system you have, I suggest you go with 32-bit installation. It's worked fine for me throughout my months of modding. The 32-bit version worked absolutely fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect this. I'm going to deselect the tutorials. I don't need those. And just have this checked off. So 32-bit components. Alright, so go next. And yeah, so it's going to load. I think what I'll do is it's just going to take long. I'll pause it until it's loaded and I'll come back. Alright, so that was rather quick. So when you get to this step, you just want to accept and go next. I've just entered these, but basically these are when it prompts you to enter a serial number and a product key. You can get them from the following. So where you downloaded your 3ds Max, the directory, you want to go under crack and then open the installation instructions, and you get the serial number. You can use any of these as well as this product key. So let me pull that over here. And this is the installation. So I got this serial number and then the product key, and we'll be using the keygen to actually enter an activation key. I'll show you how that's done. It's a bit tricky, but if you follow the instructions in this video, it should work fine. So press next. Anything I should concern myself with here? Nope. Oh yeah, and it will ask you to enter like a first name, last name, organization. Enter anything will work there. Next. Okay, install. So it's saying, are you sure you wanna? Okay, so it's saying it's for me, it's not empty. So actually what I want to do is, because I was testing before this video, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just delete everything there so it doesn't conflict. So I have some things there, as you can see. Alright, so no, next, install. And this might take a while. It's going to go through these steps, and I'm going to pause the video and come back. Alright folks, I'm back. So this is the next step of the installation. I don't want to view the readme, so I'll just go ahead and finish. Right, so that's 3ds Max setup done. Let's try to actually put this as the second step. I'm just gonna sidestep it and go with Havok content tools now. So Havok content tools, I'm not really sure. I forget where I actually got the installation file, but I will go ahead and upload this to my OneDrive and share the link. Otherwise, it's called Havok content tools 6.6.0. Basically, what this will allow us to do is to do physics in 3ds Max essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and double click it. By the way, so so let me just take a step back and crack 3ds Max first. So that's the first thing I should have done. So after 3ds Max was installed, I'm going to show you where it was installed. Program files, mine is under here. So mine is under C, program files, Autodesk. Under here, and I should see an exe somewhere. So there it is. When I double click it, it's going to take me to an authentication page. Minimize that. Okay, so the reason it didn't take me to an authentication page is as follows. So I actually tried installing this thing before, and it's already cached my activation key. So in order to demonstrate to you how to crack 3ds Max, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that that activation key. So I'm just gonna delete this. Alright, so cracking the 3ds Max 2010. I've already recorded this part of the video and realized that after you launch the crack keygen, plays this loud noise. I thought I turned it down when I was recording, but I actually didn't. So I'm going to re-record this part while having turned off my desktop audio, only recording my microphone. So I'm actually on another computer right now for the purposes of this demonstration. So at this point you should be at the point where you try to launch 3ds Max 2010. So this is my 3ds Max 2010. Don't mind the other files. So when I launch 3ds Max 2010, I should get a prompt to activate. Okay, and that's where we use, so under the 3ds Max directory that we downloaded under crack, we should have the 32-bit keygen, and that's what we'll use to activate this. So go ahead and choose activate, and you want to select enter an activation. But now when you're at this step, you want to launch the keygen. Alright, so you want to first patch it, so successfully patched. Now you want to generate, or rather you want to copy this request code. Make sure you don't take any extra spaces before or trailing spaces after. And you want to replace this like that. Now generate, and you get an activation key. Now you can copy that here under paste activation code. Alright, so we should be able to successfully activate this. So finish, and it should finish launching. We can quit this. And there it is. Oh, okay. Participate anonymously. Do not participate. So if your 3ds Max gets to this point, you should think you've successfully activated your 3ds Max. So don't mind this, because I'm recording this on another computer. I'll be sort of going back to my other computer to finish the recording. Alright, see you there, guys. Create a box. Oh, more like yeah. Just gonna attempt to save it to my desktop. Save it as anything, literally. And if I launch anything, or if I open anything, I should get the C file open. Alright, so you can uncheck this dialog so you don't get this message again. So there it is. So if you were able to save and load your scene, then I think your 3ds Max should be good to go. Alright, so let's close that. Nope. So we can now set up our Havok content tools, which, as I said, allows you to work with animations. Santos tools, which is the utility we use to mod or to import and export models and animations for Dawn of War 2, needs Havok content tools for the sake of animations. If you just want to edit models, just edit models and rigs, you don't need the Havok content tools. But if you do want to edit animations, then I suggest you get it set up. So this is the exe. It's one big exe. It's 190 megabytes. I'm going to put it on my OneDrive and just share the link under the description of this video. So I'll launch it. It should detect, so when I go next, agree, just leave both of these checked off, and it should detect that you have 3ds Max 2010 installed. Pretty smart. That is if you've installed it under C program files. Otherwise, I think it has a way of detecting that you have 3ds Max installed. When you press next, it's going to tell you where it's going to set up the Havok installation files, installed files, and then it's also going to prompt you for your 3ds Max installation directory. So you go ahead and change that to wherever you installed your 3ds Max. Next. Alright, so there it is. Now to double check that we have set up Havok content tools properly, let's launch 3ds Max again, and you should get a toolbar with the Havok utility. Where are we now? We're at 17 minutes. Wow. Okay. Try to expedite this. This is arguably the more difficult part to set up. The other tools are a lot more easier. Right, so where is the Havok? Interesting. So I didn't get the prompt, however, let me check. There's another way to check. See if your scripts, 3ds Max scripts, got set up for Havok. So go to Program Files or wherever you installed your 3ds Max under Autodesk. So there's mine, 3ds Max 2010. And under scripts, I should find Havok. Yeah, I got a ton of Havok scripts under here. So that's a good sign that I've set up 3ds or Havok content tools properly. I should clarify that version, I think 5.5 is also compatible with Santos tools, which is, as I said, the utility we use to import and export models and animations for Dawn of War 2. Alright, so that's 3ds Max and Havok content tools. Alright, next I want to set up Cope's Dawn of War 2 toolbox. So for that, you can find it. It's available on the internet. In fact, let me search for it now and see if I can find it. Cope's Dawn of War 2 toolbox. Game pressure. No, I don't think this is the. I think it's under ModDB. Yeah. So under ModDB, you can find it on under this link. So I'll share this link as well. Let me keep that open so I remember to share the link. So you can find it under ModDB under downloads under Dawn of War 2 mod tools. And when you download it, you should get a folder like that looks something like this. Or actually, let me just go ahead and download it to make sure. Download. Okay. Alright, so when you download the mod tools, you should get a zip archive with a couple of tools. So you have the FX editor, you have Santos tools, you have sorry. Alright folks, so when you actually download that file, the mod tools from here, you should get an archive, a zip archive that contains the toolbox, also contains the model editor. So what I'll do is I actually had a model editor saved here, but I think I'll use this one just to demonstrate how to set it up using the file the directory that you download. So first of all, let's start with setting up Cope's toolbox. So before dragging that out here, let me just delete the one that I have. And I'm gonna drag that out here. So this one's fairly easy to set up, but in order to set it up, I think you should understand something about how mods are set up in Dawn of War 2. So I'm using a pirated version of Dawn of War 2. It's on another computer. I didn't want to do this whole thing on my my original computer. I didn't want to mess up my original environment. So this is my Dawn of War 2 installation directory, and I have some of my, my core archives where my data and my art and my game attributes are packed. They're all contained here, most of them. You can see the size of these files, despite them being compressed, they're pretty big. So Dawn of War 2 mods are created using Cope's Toolbox, but before you do that, you want to have a reference module file. So what you're advised to do is basically make a copy of the Dawn of War 2 original module file. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Oops. So copy, paste, and let me just rename this test. So what does this module file contain? Well, it's just a bunch of some metadata as well as some links, or sorry, paths to where the actual game attributes as well as art is. So sound, movies, as well as other data. So all it is just a bunch of paths to art and attributes. Okay, so once I've made a copy of the original Dawn of War 2 module file, I can go ahead and open the Cope's Toolbox. So this is the exe. I can just launch the exe. This is the screen I'm greeted with. So I can open an existing mod if I have one, or I can create a new mod. Alright folks, so I got my Cope's Toolbox open, and what I want to do is I want to select my base module. So I'm going to open this test module that I've created. I'm going to select mod name, just a generic mod name. This is the one I used to launch my mod with on Steam, like the custom launch option. So I'm just going to choose my mod. And this is the actual display name of the mod. You'll see the difference once we create the whole directory for the mod. So it's detecting 3ds Max keygen as a virus. You can ignore that. So let me just choose generic mod here. So I don't want to give my mod a description. You can choose to give it a mod version number. UCS is basically what you use to for UI tooltips. So whenever you have a tooltip, the text that you want to appear on that tooltip is referenced through a UCS base index. So you can leave it as whatever this number is. I'm not gonna mess around with this for now because this is just a setup tutorial. So I'm gonna go ahead and create mod. Already exists. Okay, so I was testing and I forgot to delete the one I was testing with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and overwrite it. For you, it shouldn't prompt you. It shouldn't prompt you to overwrite. So I'm just gonna overwrite it and pause for a second. Alright, so when it's done setting up, you should be greeted with these two folders. So one is attributes and the other one is data. So this is where most of your art and other aspects, well, primarily art, this is where it's contained. And then your game attributes should be contained here. For example, what individual units look like. So say, for example, I have an assault marine, and what its abilities are, what its for example, if it can it's leveling, so what are its attributes when it levels, how it behaves in melee, what war gear does it have. So these are individual units. For example, you can also see squads. So for example, I have this isn't the video to demonstrate this in depth because this is just a setup video guide. So for example, I have my my assault marine squad, and what does that do? Well, it loads out 3 copies of my assault marine eBPS. So that's my entity blueprint, right? This is this under here. Under eBPS, these are entities. So a single scout model, single assault marine model. Under SBPS, for example, are my squads. So this is an assault marine squad. I can create any combination or variation of entities, individual units, as well as squads. And it has a lot of other attribute related elements of the game, such as what upgrades you want, war gear, and a lot of other things. So this isn't the video for that. This is just a setup guide video. So let's close these and I also have my art. Ideally, you don't want to manage your art folder here. You either want to manage it directly through folder system. So through your folder system. And by the way, this is my mod folder. So I'm just gonna go to the art quick. Okay, so it doesn't appear for a reason. I'll tell you why. But ideally, you don't want to mess around with the data folder here. Okay. Okay, so that's Cope's Toolbox. So there are some other things here actually. Your options. So basically, this directs the Cope's Toolbox to your exe, your Dawn of War 2 exe. So mine is actually under program files Sega retribution. So I'm going to keep that selected. File not found, check file name again. Okay. Retribution. And yeah, there are other options you can play with here, but essentially these are some of your options, and then you can also launch the mod by pressing test mod, and this will launch the mod for you. Some important things here actually. So under options, if you're modding retribution, you should have these checked off. Save RBFs as retribution style RBFs. Load RBFs as retribution style RBFs. Let's see what else. I have my RBF library. You'll understand this in greater depth when you actually start modding these attributes. Okay, so that's a toolbox. Mod settings. Right. So here. So this is the actual like system name of my mod. So as I said, when I want to launch it on Steam, I'd actually use this name, and then the UI name of my mod. So when you launch Dawn of War 2, it's gonna give you like a little UI printout that states the name of the mod as well as the version. So it's gonna display this. So this is also called the display name. Okay. So there's also an option to release mod. So what this does is actually packs your files for you, but people advised not to use this, have advised not to use the release mod option because it's buggy. There are other ways to pack your mod to release it, so I won't be covering this, but yeah, that's essentially how it works. So there it is. That's Cope's Toolbox. Very essential tool. Actually, without it, you can't really do much. Yeah, you can't really do much in terms of modding Dawn of War 2. Let's close that and let's move on to the final tool. So I can exit. This is recording, great. Alright, so last and not least, but certainly not least, is the model editor. So as I said, I'll be using the one that I downloaded, or that you would have downloaded from the following link. So just go back, sorry. Is this even it? I don't think so. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So this is the zip that you would have downloaded, and this is the model tool, Santos tools. So this is where the model editor is contained. So I'm going to drag that out here, and I'm going to go ahead and open it. Tools, Santos tools. So my focus will be on the model editor. The sound editor is pretty difficult to use, so I won't be demonstrating that. There's still breakthroughs being made as of today as to how to properly add new sound to Dawn of War 2. So I'll be going over the model editor, so I'm going to drag that out here. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to actually take this file that I just dragged out. I want to go to my Dawn of War 2 install directory. So yours will be under Steam, Steam apps, and so forth. Mine is under Sega. So I want to open tools. Under the installation directory, I want to open tools. And as you can see, I already have actually a model editor here, so I'm going to delete that. That's from my practice for the video. So I want to create a new folder and call it model editor. It's important you do this, or else Scope's tools won't recognize, won't be able to parse paths, the paths to your mods properly. So once I've created model editor, I want to drag this here, and let me just test something. Remove the dev. Right, let me just try launching it and see what happens. So it launches properly. So let me just go again through the path that you need to create in order to put your mod tools or your model editor. So under the Dawn of War 2 installation directory, you want to go to tools, create a folder called model editor, another folder called model editor, and you want to paste these files here. So the files under the zip, under Santos tools, under model editor. So you want to drag these and put them here. Now unfortunately this seems to be missing some scripts. So these scripts, let me just check if they're actually here somewhere. Okay, so there are scripts here, but yeah. So these are the scripts. So remember I got download Santos tools from here. Well, under here are another set of important scripts that I need in order to allow me to import and export models, models and animations into 3ds Max. So I want to drag these scripts out here. Close this. Just close everything. It's getting cluttered here. So these are my scripts. I'm going to open them. I'm going to go into scripts, and I want to open my 3ds Max installation directory. So under under C, program files, Autodesk, 3ds Max. So this is the installation directory. I should see a folder named scripts. That's where the Havok content tool scripts are set up as well. So what I want to do is I just want to drag these two and just double check that you sort of have these. Okay, and double check that you have a single startup script called Santos tools. So you want to select both of these and just drag them. What this is going to do is going to overwrite, it's going to add this script under startup. It's going to add this script here under startup here, and then it's just going to create a new folder called Santos tools and put these scripts there. So select, drag, overwrite, continue. So, and I want to bring up something else here, which is that permissions to read write. So sometimes when you try to copy stuff onto program files, it may refuse it or otherwise, at which point you need to give the proper permissions by going to properties and then going to security and giving your user the proper permissions. Now I want to go into here and make sure the scripts are there and the startup scripts are there as well. You also want to do something else. So under scripts, you want to go into Santos tools and you want to go into settings. And okay, so never mind this step for the time being. You want to go ahead and open up 3ds Max. Actually, I already have it open. Let's close it. Let's open it again. So I got two open here. Let me close one of these. Alright. So under utilities, you want to go to Max Script, and then you want to go under to utilities again, drop down, and you should see Santos tools here. If you don't see this here, it means you're missing scripts under your 3ds Max installation. It means you're missing either the startup script, this one, or you're missing the entire Santos tools utility related scripts. So if you are, then just make sure you drag them on, put them here again. Maybe some of them didn't copy because you didn't have right permissions. Alright, so going back to 3ds Max, let's just test to see if it works properly. Alright, so once you choose Santos tools 2, you should get a drop down here, and I don't. So that's actually a good thing. So I'm going to demonstrate why this would happen. So minimize, or actually just close 3ds Max. And under 3ds Max, under your installation directory of 3ds Max, under your scripts, under Santos tools 2, you want to go to settings. You can open this using Notepad or any text editor. And you want to make sure that these two are filled out properly. So you want to make sure that this points to the right, down over to installation directory. As you can see, for you it's likely going to be correct. For me, because it's a bootleg version, it's not pointing to the right directory. So what I want to do is I want to go to Sega, down over to Retribution, copy this, paste it here, save it. Alright. So I've just saved the TX. I can close it, launch 3ds Max again. Now it should detect the list of mods there. Right, so another point actually, when I edited the settings for, alright, let me go back to 3ds Max here. Autodesk 3ds Max, and go into scripts, Santos tools. So when I edited this, it did get saved, so make sure yours does get saved. Otherwise, it's the read and write permissions that your user doesn't have, so make sure you give your user read and write permissions to this directory. Alright, so let's see if it's there. So under utilities, under Mac script, under Santos tools, there it is. So it's actually reading my mods, and the mod I just created is called my mod. So there's another one called test mod, never mind that. So under my mod, I should be able to select that. So that's already a good sign. So these are the primary rollouts that we have for Santos tools. We can import models and rigs. We can export models and rigs, as well as materials. And we can also manage animations using this final rollout. I'll demonstrate these in a moment. Before we start our test to see if these work properly, we want to go back to our Dawn of War 2 Retribution directory, and then we want to go under Tools, Model Editor, and I want to launch the model editor for the first time. So when you do launch it, you should get a list of mods here. If you don't, I believe there is a settings file. Now remember, this isn't the 3ds Max one, this is the one under Dawn of War 2 Retribution. So I can open this using any text editor. So I mean, so if you don't get a drop down here, it means that you've put your you didn't follow the proper directory paths. So under tools, you probably just created a single model editor, and you put all your files under there. But you're actually required to make 2 model editor directories. So this is the link: Retribution Tools, model editor, and your actual exe application should be here. Right. So with that out of the way, when you launch it, it should give you these options to select your mod. I'm going to go ahead with my mod, and when I try to open my mod, I don't see anything. Well, if you actually read Santos instructions, you would find out that shader. You would find out that to work properly, the program needs several files from Dawn of War 2 archives: your shaders, your config, your art defaults, and your art badges. So these, I'm going to open my Copes Mod Tools, okay? So I'm going to open Copes Mod Tools, and I'm going to open my mod. So that would be my mod. Program files, Sega, Retribution. My mod was called, I forgot which one I was using for this tutorial. I think it's called Test. No, this isn't it. Sorry. It's actually called my mod. So the games, or this mod's archives, are currently packed in the form of SGAs. Wherever you see blue here, it means that it's packed. So what you want to do is you want to unpack it by doing right click, extract, right? So Copes Tools is telling us to extract these in order for the tool to work, in order for you to be able to view models. But actually, even these aren't enough. What you want to do is, because you're going to be editing models and animations, so you want to actually export your art by going to extract. You want to extract your whatever files you think you need or you require to edit your C. You want to extract them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract just the important stuff, as well as one art model for the sake of demonstration for this tutorial. So I'm going to extract the shaders as per Santos instructions. So shaders, config, extract. I'm going to go under art, under marines, and I'm going to export. I'm actually just going to extract this because I'm going to demonstrate animations as well. So extract troops. Just take extract warrior. This takes a bit because art files are large, as you can imagine. Alright, so that's done. So once I've extracted those, I actually see the folder that I've just extracted. So config, shaders, and art. Actually, sorry, there are art defaults and badges that I need to extract. So under art, there are badges, extract, and then defaults. Because these have textures, default textures. And then badges have the unit badges. So go under race marine. As you can see, I've just exported badges and defaults. So I've just exported all of the marine art, and I can go ahead and open a model under apothecary model. There it is. We can see our apothecary model. So in terms of the UI, in terms of like how to use this tool and everything, that requires an entire video on its own. So as long as you got it to open models, then you should be good for this setup. Let's see if my animations are here. Alright, so just double check I have animations. Right. Okay. So if you got models to open up here, and if you've under say under marine, under troops, under say librarian, when you open this model, double click it. If you see animations, generally your setup should be correct. Okay. So finally, after we've successfully set up our model editor, we're going to go back to 3ds Max, and we'll try to import a model into 3ds Max that we can edit. So for now, what you can do is you can just so let me just close this back and guide you through the whole thing. So under utilities, okay, you want to go to Max Script, you want to select Santos tools, you want to select your mod, my mod, for me it's my mod, and then you want to go to import. So import and export are for models. Animations, the animations rollout is for animations. So you want to just for now check off mesh, materials, bones, and markers. Remove, don't export smoothing for the time being. And you can uncheck reset scene, you can uncheck biped for the time being, and then press import model. It should find the data folder of your mod. So under art, if you'll remember, we exported some marine models. So let's go to under armor, let's import that apothecary. There he is, apothecary imported. I'm not sure what that dialogue just said, but oh, it just told me the actually you can also track open or Max Script listener. You can actually see what's going on in your 3ds Max application by looking at this listener. So all of this was Santos tools importing bones and textures and models. Okay. So the model looks jagged because I didn't import smoothing groups. I'm not going to explain why, because this is just a setup tutorial. Now let me just try to edit this model quickly, just edit one part of it, just to test if our editing's correct. I'm going to remove his left shoulder, he's unworthy. Export options. Now, oh, by the way, I just went to export under, after import the export rollout, go to export options. And here you'll select the path. So it should lead you to the path of the model that you imported. You don't want to overwrite this, so just name it apothecary 2, save. You can check or uncheck these for the time being, doesn't matter. And make sure apothecary 2 is loaded here, press close, and export model. You should see two things. One, that the model is exported without the shoulder, and one that the smoothing groups aren't applied. So Dawn of War 2 doesn't have its own smoothing groups implementation. The Dawn of War 2 engine, it doesn't have its own smoothing groups implementation. It depends, I think, on 3ds Max to do it. So I'm gonna open the. By the way, this is how I open models in model editor under here. You can go to troops, armor, apothecary was here. There's our apothecary 2 model. Opening it, we should notice 2 things. Okay, so surprisingly enough, let me just see something. Okay, that's interesting. So the model group, the smoothing groups are applied, which is strange. Well, yeah, it's strange. Sometimes when you well, let me see. Actually, I don't think they're applied, but this is very distinguishable from this. I can't really tell, but the point is that the left shoulder is gone. It means the model we edited has been the model we edited has been successfully saved. So that's a good indication that your imports and exports are working fine. So what we're going to do now is see if animations are working fine. So for those, we want to open troops. So under Race Marine, under troops, we want to go to Space Marine, and we want to open this Space Marine model. You won't see anything because this is an animator. I won't be going into depth. I won't be explaining as to why that is. You'll learn that as you progress in your modding. We want to select drop down one of these. So I'll go with melee blade, range pistol, and I want to export one of these animations. So I'm gonna export this aim run animation. So I'll right click on it, export, select desktop. Desktop should do. Export complete. Let's minimize everything. Let's check desktop. It should create a folder called melee blade range pistol. So under this, what it does is it exports a .anim file. Okay, so this .anim file is named after the name of the animation, and the folder in which it's saved is the animation group. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to import this animation file into 3ds Max. Again, this is just a setup video. It's not meant to explore modding in depth. That's in future videos. So import animations. So under my animations rollout, I want to import animations, and I want to go to desktop. Under melee blade range pistol, I want to. Oops, what did I do? So import animation. Let me try quick import. Yeah, so just try quick import for now. I'll explain how the whole import animation batch import works in my animation video, but for now just go to quick import and select this. Alright, so there's our animation loaded. So it's actually loaded right into the bones. So if I select all the bones, you'll see these keyframes. This is where we view our keyframes for our purposes of animation in 3ds Max. So if these don't appear here, it means your animations are bugged somehow. So when I drag this over, we can see the model run, because this is an aim run. Awesome. So if you play it, there it is. Now I'll also try exporting this. Try export animation. You can select the same directory, or rather go to desktop under the same directory. It doesn't matter really where you export it, but for now, for ease of reference, just put it under the same directory, melee blade range pistol, and we'll just name it test animation. Doesn't matter what you name it. Test animation file not found. So what's it doing? Select animation to export. Oh, I see what it's doing. So go to quick export. No magazine loaded. Okay, that's weird. So I know the right, that is weird. Let me just try this. Alright, so what I did, folks, to get it working is I just saved my scene file. Save it anywhere. I've saved it under desktop range pistol and I named it test. Save it. And then I want to import the animation again. Okay, so I'm going to import this. So now it's telling me to select an output directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it under melee blade range pistol again. So import success. So you should still see the animation here. And let's go ahead and export it just to test, see if exporting works. I'm going to export it here as well. Don't worry now for the time being as to why all this is. It will become pretty routine. But now we just want to make sure that your setup is working properly, as well as your Havok, and as well as to make sure your Havok is exporting these animations properly. So when I get this prompt, I want to run all config, and I shouldn't see any errors here. Close. Go back to that file and I should see this .hkx. So this is the animation we exported from model tools. And then this is the animation we exported from the scene. And I'll explain what these do and why this scene file was created. But let's go ahead and import the animation we just worked on. And I'm just going to rename it to test so I can distinguish it when it's in here. So what I do is under melee blade range pistol, I want to import under desktop, under melee blade range pistol, I want to import test. So if I make the bone or render bones, I should see sort of an outline of my unit in the form of bones. When I select test and play, it should show the same animation, but just for confirmation, I can attach a model. Let's go to the apothecary 2 with the missing shoulder. Play. It should work as expected. So if you stumbled on any of those steps, you wanna go back throughout the just rewind the video and just do the steps again. Tons of modders got the stuff working, so I don't see why you shouldn't. So just take a step back, remove the existing files, and just try it again. It should work for you. So those are the tools required essentially for modding Dawn of War 2. I just want to see if I'm missing something here. Yeah, so some of the required files, such as Havok content tools, I'll have under my OneDrive link, which I'll share in the video description. I've also covered how you should reset your activation key cache when you run into an error when trying to activate your 3ds Max. And then permissions. So if your Santos tools doesn't work or under the 3ds Max, if you don't see anything under here, remember it was because your 3ds Max script config wasn't set up properly. So under here, under Santos tools, my config or settings weren't set up properly. So I want to make sure I set those up. Also, when I edit this and try to save it, I'm going to make sure I have read and write and execute permissions. On the other notes, so we have the content tool set up. We tried importing models and animations, and we got 3ds Max set up. So I wish you guys luck in setting up your environment, and should you have any questions, try to look for the elite community Discord. When you get in there are a lot of active people, and they should guide you to some of the modding servers, the Dawn of War 2 modding servers. And in there are a lot of people who are willing to help you get your environment set up. And so don't try to comment on this video, because I likely not monitor any of the comments. So with that said, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you get your environment set up properly. And until next time, take care, guys.